My wife told me I couldn't attend her college reunion because spouses weren't allowed, but then I received photos from her friend showing her spending time with her ex-boyfriend. On the channel you will find even more interesting stories. Subscribe and like. About 6 weeks ago, my wife of 7 years, Lisa, brought up her 10-year college reunion in Colorado. She said it would be a laid-back weekend where everyone was bringing their significant others and asked if I wanted to tag along. I said yes. I'd never been to Colorado, and I thought it would be cool to meet the people she'd spent her college years with. Lisa seemed genuinely excited. She talked about trails we could hike, restaurants she wanted us to try, and even floated the idea of extending our stay for a few days to make it a mini vacation. We booked the flights together. I arranged time off from work, bought some gear for the weather, new hiking boots, a proper jacket, and in the evenings, we'd scroll through her college photos while she pointed out old friends I'd supposedly meet. There was Mark, who had come to our wedding, his wife Jennifer, who'd helped Lisa land her first job, and Carlos, who ran a yearly charity event Lisa always took part in. But there was one name she never brought up, Tyler, her college boyfriend. I knew from past conversations that he had played a big role in her life. They'd been together nearly 3 years before breaking up senior year, but she made no mention of him this time. Then, about 10 days before the trip, Lisa told me there'd been a change. According to her, the event organizers had decided to ban spouses last minute because of venue size. She apologized, looking disappointed, and I said it was no big deal. I could use the weekend to catch up on some things at home. But every time I asked for more info, she deflected. When I asked which other partners had been uninvited, she mumbled something vague about Mark's wife and a few others, before pivoting to her work stress. The night before she left, I watched her pack from the bed. She spent a lot more time than usual picking out outfits, bringing multiple dress options and packing a new one she hadn't even worn yet. She said she wanted to look nice in photos since everyone would be seeing how much they'd changed since college. She even brought more makeup than usual and meticulously arranged all her toiletries. The day after she flew out, I got a message from Mark, the same friend from college who'd been at our wedding. He said he thought I should know Lisa was spending the entire reunion with her ex Tyler. According to him, they were practically inseparable, and at one point, he even saw them disappear into Tyler's cabin together for over an hour while the rest of the group went hiking. Apparently, Lisa told everyone I had to stay behind for work. Mark also attached a screenshot of the event schedule, and it clearly said nothing about a no spouses rule. I just stared at his message for what felt like forever. There hadn't been any signs that something was wrong between us. In fact, we'd been talking about starting a family next year. We just finished redoing our kitchen and were planning to renovate the bathrooms next. We were even looking at bigger homes near good schools. I had never once questioned her honesty, until that moment. One evening during the reunion weekend, I called Lisa just to check in and see how things were going. She sounded upbeat, said everything was going great. She mentioned a group hike and a barbecue. Trying to keep it casual, I asked if the venue and that no spouse policy had really been necessary. She quickly said yes, claiming the lodge had limited room availability. Then I asked, almost like an afterthought, whether Tyler had ended up coming. There was a noticeable pause. Then she said he couldn't make it, that he was living in Europe now. After we hung up, I couldn't shake the feeling something was off. I logged into our phone account and started scrolling through our call records. That's when I noticed a pattern. A number I didn't recognize had been calling Lisa, and she'd been calling it back, over the past few weeks. The closer it got to the reunion, the more frequent the calls. The most recent one? Just the day before she flew out. It had lasted 47 minutes. I copied the number and sent it to Mark, asking if he recognized it. A few minutes later he replied, it was Tyler's. And he hadn't been in Europe at all. He'd moved back from London 6 months ago, after his divorce. I packed a bag and went to stay with my sister, who's a family law attorney. I showed her everything, Mark's messages, the reunion schedule, the phone records, and explained the situation. She warned me not to rush into conclusions, reminding me that phone calls weren't proof of anything on their own. She said I should wait until Lisa got back and talk to her directly. When I brought up that Lisa had lied, about Tyler's absence, and about why I wasn't at the reunion, my sister agreed it was concerning. But still, she encouraged me to give Lisa a chance to explain before jumping to any big decisions. 7 years of marriage, she said, shouldn't be thrown away over 3 suspicious days. I spent the next 3 nights on her couch. Lisa didn't call me again after our initial chat, which felt weird considering it was just a short trip. She sent a few vague texts and some group pictures, but nothing personal. None of the photos showed her alone, or with anyone specific, just big crowds of people at various events. I checked social media, searching through posts from other reunion attendees. That's when I found them, 3 photos where Lisa and Tyler were clearly visible in the background. In one, he had his hand on the small of her back. In another, the two of them sat apart from the group, deep in conversation. When the weekend ended and Lisa was due back, I returned to our house to wait. Before she got in, I printed out the phone records, screenshots of the photos I'd found, and the reunion schedule, highlighting the fact there'd been no rule against partners attending. I laid everything out on the kitchen table and sat down. As soon as Lisa walked through the door and saw me, her whole face changed. She stopped smiling. Her eyes flicked to the documents spread in front of me, and her expression shifted from surprise to concern. During our talk, she admitted Tyler had been there, but swore they were just friends now and that nothing had happened. When I asked why she'd lied about him not attending, and about the no spouses rule, she eventually admitted that the organizers never banned partners. She just thought it might be uncomfortable for me to be there since Tyler would be around. Said she wanted to avoid drama. When I brought up the 47-minute phone call with Tyler the day before her trip, she got defensive. She said it was invasive for me to check her call history. Then she claimed Tyler had called her because he was anxious about seeing everyone again after his divorce and wanted to ask who'd be there. I reminded her that this wasn't one call, it was 12 calls in just 3 weeks. This wasn't a simple check-in about reunion logistics. I told her I'd already spoken to my. When I told Lisa I'd spoken to my sister about divorce, her demeanor changed instantly. She got emotional, insisting again that nothing had happened with Tyler. According to her, she'd only been trying to support him during a rough time after his divorce. She said they only went to his cabin briefly to grab something from his car, and that Mark must have missed them leaving because he had already gone on the group hike. She kept insisting she was just being kind to an old friend going through a rough patch, and that Tyler was unemployed, so she had even covered most of his meals out of sympathy. When I brought up the social media photos, like the one where his hand was on her back, she dismissed it, saying people had been crammed together for the group shot. But in that photo, they weren't being squeezed, there was clear space around them. I told her I'd be staying with my sister for the night, I needed time to think. As I packed, Lisa followed me from room to room, growing more frantic with every step. She kept saying I was throwing away 7 years of marriage over a misunderstanding, over a few texts and photos. She pleaded, brought up the family we had talked about starting, the new house we'd been considering. But I just kept packing. When I zipped up my bag and walked toward the door, she stood in the doorway, trying to physically stop me from leaving. I didn't say anything. I just waited silently until she stepped aside. That night, she called me 27 times. Left 14 voicemails, each more emotional than the last. I didn't listen to most of them. Over the next few days, she texted constantly, apologies, explanations, then accusations that I was being cold and unreasonable. My sister agreed to pause any legal steps until I had time to process everything. But honestly, I didn't know what to think anymore. I never imagined our marriage would reach this point. 7 years together, and this blindsided me. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of it all. My friends were split. Some told me to give her a chance to fully explain that relationships had survived worse. Others said the lies alone revealed who she really was. I never thought I'd be here, questioning everything. And the hardest part is, I barely recognize the life I'm living now. Update 1. Thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. I read every reply, even if I didn't respond to them all. The support from this community has been incredible. It got me through some of the hardest weeks of my life. So many of you shared similar stories that helped me feel a little less alone in this. For those asking for an update, it's now been 2 weeks since I discovered Lisa's lies. After a lot of thought and long conversations with my sister, I've made my decision. I'm moving forward with divorce. It's not a choice I made lightly, but I've come to realize that the trust is gone. I can't rebuild something that was so quietly and deliberately broken. I contacted Mark again and asked if we could meet in person. He agreed, and we sat down near his office. He brought more photos from the reunion and pointed out how Lisa and Tyler had spent nearly every meal and activity side by side. He showed me a group photo from the first dinner. There had been assigned seating, alphabetically, but Lisa had moved her name card so she could sit next to Tyler instead of where she was originally placed. Mark said he hadn't wanted to get involved, but once he saw them leave together during the hike, he couldn't stay silent. His wife had noticed it too. She was the one who encouraged him to reach out to me. He confirmed what I already suspected. Lisa and Tyler had spent most of the reunion together. They often stepped away from the group, shared private conversations and inside jokes, sat next to each other at every opportunity. At every group meal during the reunion, another classmate had apparently commented on how natural it looked, like Lisa and Tyler had slipped back into their old rhythm, just like college. Mark also gave me a detailed account of the cabin incident that directly contradicted Lisa's version of events. According to him, the group hike was meant to last around 90 minutes along a nearby national park trail. Just 15 minutes in, Lisa and Tyler turned back, saying they'd forgotten something at the cabins and would catch up. But they never rejoined the group, not during the hike, and not even for the lunch afterward. They finally returned around half an hour after everyone else had finished eating. That made their absence close to 2 hours, far more than the quick trip Lisa claimed. Apparently, when they reappeared, Tyler made a joke about getting lost that made a few people uncomfortable, considering how obvious it was they'd been missing together. When I asked Mark why he decided to tell me all this, he opened up. Years ago, he and his wife had also gone through infidelity in their relationship. They had survived it, but only because the truth came out right away. In his words, it wasn't the mistakes that destroyed marriages, it was the secrets. He said I deserved to know what was really happening. I met Lisa at a coffee shop to finally give her my decision. She showed up early, 20 minutes before I got there, and had already ordered my usual drink. She came prepared, carrying a folder filled with photos from the reunion. She pointed out pictures where Tyler was just one face in a group, trying to use them as proof that nothing inappropriate had happened. But all those images were from structured events, not the unaccounted time when Mark said they'd gone off alone. She had even printed out emails from the reunion organizers about logistics, none of which mentioned any restrictions about spouses. When I brought up how much she had gone out of her way to keep me from attending, she shifted the blame onto Mark, accusing him of being jealous of her friendships and referencing his behavior at our wedding. But I told her this wasn't just about Mark, it was about her. About the lies she told. The effort she put into keeping me away, just because her ex was going to be there. That, to me, was the real betrayal, not just what may or may not have happened at the cabin, but the level of manipulation it took to make sure I wouldn't find out. Lisa admitted she'd made mistakes, said she handled things poorly, but still insisted nothing physical had happened with Tyler. She suggested we go to marriage counseling and told me she'd already booked an initial appointment for next week. When I told her I wasn't interested, she got frustrated. She flipped through her folder again, pointing to various pictures and notes, practically pleading with me to talk to others from the reunion, people I'd never even met, who she claimed could give a different version of events. The next day, I started searching for an apartment. I found a place close to my job and signed a 6-month lease. I paid everything, deposit and first month's rent, from my personal account instead of the joint one. When I broke the news to Lisa that I'd be moving out, she called her parents. That evening they showed up, clearly trying to stop things from falling apart. Her dad spoke calmly, saying every marriage faces hard times. Her mother was in tears, pleading for us to go to counseling before making any final decisions. Her father even referenced his own past mistakes her mother had forgiven, as if this was the same. As if this could just be smoothed over with time and patience. That weekend, I moved most of my personal belongings into the new apartment. 2 friends helped me load everything while Lisa was staying at her parents'. Before leaving, I taped a note to the fridge listing the furniture I'd taken and what I'd be coming back for later. Not long after, Lisa began spreading her version of the story to our mutual friends. In her retelling, Mark was the instigator, a jealous meddler. She painted me as impulsive, claiming I'd overreacted to harmless interactions without letting her explain. It didn't take long for the lines to be drawn. My sister, who's also my lawyer, officially filed the divorce paperwork under irreconcilable differences. Lisa texted me afterward, still hoping I'd change my mind. When I didn't respond, she sent an email filled with links to local marriage counselors, one of whom, she said, specialized in rebuilding trust. I didn't open any of them. I kept wondering, does it ever get easier? Because honestly, I was drowning. Update 2. A month's passed since then, and the divorce is moving forward, though not without resistance. Lisa initially contested the grounds for divorce, arguing, irreconcilable differences didn't apply. But my sister explained it was just a stall tactic. Our state allows no-fault divorce, so her objection wouldn't hold. Lisa then filed a detailed response asking the court to mandate marriage counseling first. She argued that the marriage could still be saved. Meanwhile, her communication with me continued, swinging between tearful apologies and angry messages. She even showed up at my apartment twice. The first time, she brought flowers. The second time, she came with a printed copy of the divorce papers, now covered in handwritten notes disputing various terms. That second visit turned into a tense standoff in the hallway. She refused to leave until I spoke to her. Eventually, one of my neighbors stepped in and gave me the chance to go back inside. After that, I asked the building manager to keep her out of the property. She even tried reaching out to my sister, emailing her directly to argue I wasn't thinking clearly, and begging her to stop representing me. My sister quietly forwarded me the emails without saying a word. Lisa also got in touch with some of our mutual friends, trying to convince them to sway me. A couple of them reached out to me afterward, clearly having heard only her side of the story, expressing concern that I was ending things too quickly. Then, last week, something happened that cut through the last traces of doubt I had. I was at the grocery store when I ran into Jamie, one of Tyler's old friends, who I'd met at our wedding. He recognized me and came over to say hello. As we got to talking, I brought up the reunion, mentioned the situation between Lisa and Tyler. Jamie's reaction said everything. His face shifted, and he looked uncomfortable. Then he told me what he knew. According to Jamie, Tyler had told him that Lisa was all over him during the reunion. Tyler had said Lisa told him our marriage was already on the rocks and probably ending. Jamie then said, very directly, that Tyler told him they'd slept together on the last night of the reunion. He looked genuinely sorry to be the one telling me this, but said I deserved to know. Jamie added that Tyler had shown him text messages from Lisa during the reunion, messages that were, in his words, explicitly romantic. Tyler had apparently admitted to feeling conflicted about the whole thing, especially since he'd met me at the wedding. But Lisa had been persistent, and had assured him that she and I were basically done already. I think Jamie numbly left my cart in the aisle, and walked straight to my car. From the driver's seat, I called my sister and told her everything. After I spoke to Jamie, I called my sister right away. She listened carefully, then advised me not to confront Lisa with this new information just yet. She explained that since Lisa was still contesting the divorce, any evidence of infidelity could influence how we approached the case. She told me to forward any texts or emails Lisa sent before replying, just to avoid saying anything that might complicate things legally. That evening, Lisa showed up at my apartment again. A neighbor had let her into the building. She brought takeout from my favorite restaurant, and said she just wanted to talk. For nearly an hour, she repeated the same story. She was only helping a friend, nothing had happened, Mark had misread things. She said she loved me? Swore she would never cheat. She told me she'd started therapy to figure out why she'd handled things so poorly and asked again if we could try couples counseling. Then came the talk about our future, the kids we'd always planned, the house, growing old together. I didn't say a word through all of it. But when she finally stopped talking, I made a mistake. Against my sister's advice, I told Lisa about running into Jamie, and what Tyler had allegedly told him. Her reaction was immediate. She snapped, furious, insisting Jamie was lying. She said Tyler would never say something like that, then suggested maybe he had asked Jamie to lie out of spite, because she'd cut off contact with him after the reunion, realizing the friendship wasn't worth the risk to her marriage. Then she turned it on me, demanding to know why I'd believe a random guy over my own wife. When I asked if she had, in fact, kept talking to Tyler after the reunion, she got defensive, grabbed her things, and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The next day, I got a long email from her. She claimed she had spoken to Tyler directly, and that he denied ever telling Jamie they hooked up. According to Lisa, it was all either a misunderstanding or someone trying to sabotage her. A week later, I got a call from Tyler himself. He sounded tired, said Lisa had been calling and texting him nonstop, even from different numbers after he blocked her. She'd accused him of spreading rumors. He said he just wanted the whole situation to go away. When I asked him directly whether he had told Jamie they'd slept together, he hesitated, then admitted he may have exaggerated. According to him, they had spent a lot of time together at the reunion. But the only physical thing that happened was a kiss. One kiss, on the last night, after too many drinks at the farewell dinner. He also told me that Lisa had said our marriage was falling apart, that we weren't connecting and she didn't know what she wanted anymore. He admitted she was the one who'd initiated most of their time alone, always suggesting they hang out privately. When I told him we'd actually been planning to start trying for a baby next year and weren't having any issues, he went quiet for a moment, then said, "I didn't know." He apologized, admitted he should have stayed away from her once he realized she was married. After that call, I sent Tyler's contact info to my sister, who again cautioned me not to confront Lisa about it. Better to let the legal process take its course than get caught in more emotional fallout. I ignored Lisa's latest email. 2 days later, she unexpectedly accepted all the divorce terms we had proposed. Lisa's sudden agreement to the divorce terms, including our agreed division of assets, caught me off guard, especially after weeks of resistance. I couldn't help but wonder what had changed. My sister had a theory. She suggested Lisa might have realized Tyler had spoken to me and chose to cut her losses before more damaging details came out during contested proceedings. Update 3. It's been another month. The house is now officially on the market. We've already received 2 offers over asking price. Once the mortgage is paid off, we'll be splitting the remaining proceeds evenly. Lisa came by the apartment again, not alone this time, but with her mother. They brought boxes to collect the household items we had previously agreed she could take. While Lisa packed, her mother kept trying to start conversations about marriage, second chances, and working through hardship. She even shared a personal story, how she nearly left Lisa's father when Lisa was a baby, convinced he was having an affair because of his long work hours. But the suspicion turned out to be unfounded, and she was glad they stayed together. I helped them carry boxes down to the car but kept my responses polite and minimal. I wasn't interested in being pulled into a family redemption arc. Just before they left, Lisa asked if she could speak to me alone. Her mother hesitated, clearly uncomfortable leaving us, but eventually walked to the car, glancing back multiple times. Once it was just the 2 of us, Lisa's tone changed. She looked more somber than before. She told me she needed to clear her conscience. She admitted to lying about why I couldn't come to the reunion. She also confessed to spending significant time with Tyler there, but insisted again that they had not slept together. According to her, they only kissed once, on the final night, after they'd both been drinking. She claimed she stopped it from going any further and regretted it immediately. Lisa said she didn't understand why Tyler would tell Jamie they hooked up. Maybe, she suggested, Tyler thought the kiss counted, or maybe he had exaggerated to save face. She also admitted she had deleted messages between them before the reunion. Their conversations, she said, had started drifting into reminiscing about their past relationship. She knew I'd be hurt if I saw them. As for the cabin incident, she claimed it was innocent. They had gone to get something from his car and ended up talking for longer than intended, mostly about his divorce and how lost he felt. When I asked why she was telling me all this now, Lisa said that since the divorce was happening no matter what, I deserved to hear the truth. She acknowledged making a string of bad decisions and accepted the consequences, but continued to insist she hadn't crossed the line physically. She denied ever having doubts about our marriage before the reunion, despite what Tyler had told me. According to her, he may have misunderstood a comment she made about being nervous about starting a family. Then she handed me an envelope. Inside were concert tickets, for a band we both loved. She said she had bought them before the reunion, intending to surprise me for our anniversary. She didn't expect me to use them with her, but thought I might still want them. I took the envelope without saying anything. Not long after she left, I got a text from Tyler. He said Lisa had asked him to reach out. Tyler's message echoed what Lisa had said. They hadn't slept together, only kissed. He admitted he told Jamie something happened while he was drunk and exaggerated the truth. He apologized again for his part in everything and said he wouldn't contact either of us again. For a moment, I hesitated. Their stories finally matched. But then I remembered every previous lie. Even if it had just been a kiss, Lisa still went to great lengths to spend time alone with an ex. She created an elaborate lie to keep me from attending the reunion, then lied repeatedly when confronted. Whether they kissed or had sex didn't change the real issue, the betrayal of trust. And the fact that their stories kept evolving only made me doubt this new version even more. The next day, Mark sent me screenshots of a heated text exchange between him and Lisa. In the messages, Lisa accused him of ruining her marriage by involving me. She called him a backstabbing friend, and claimed he misread innocent interactions. Mark stood by everything he told me. He also mentioned that several other people at the reunion had noticed Lisa and Tyler's behavior, but didn't feel comfortable saying anything. He detailed new instances I hadn't heard before, like Lisa and Tyler disappearing together from the bonfire one evening for over an hour. In her messages to Mark, Lisa admitted she and Tyler had talked about their past during the reunion. She said they'd reminisced and shared old jokes. She acknowledged there had been harmless flirting, but insisted it had been blown out of proportion. Notably, she didn't deny that they had been alone in the cabin for longer than she originally claimed. Every new detail only reinforced my decision. Even if this kiss story was true, it felt like just another strategic admission, just enough truth to explain what I already knew while continuing to minimize her actions. It fit the same pattern: lie, deny, admit a fraction of the truth when cornered. I shifted my focus to rebuilding. I started furnishing my apartment properly instead of living out of what I brought from the house. My sister introduced me to her husband's friend, who needed help renovating his basement, and the project gave me something productive to do with my evenings and weekends. Lisa's contact became less frequent. According to mutual friends, she was now saying she'd made a mistake, but that my unwillingness to forgive had ended the marriage. Some people believed her. Others didn't. I stopped trying to defend myself. Those who know me don't need explanations. Those who don't, well, they aren't part of my future anyway. The divorce was expected to be finalized in the coming months. Final update. The divorce was finalized last week. I thought it would end quietly, just a final set of papers in the mail. But 2 days before it became official, Lisa sent me one last email. The subject line was, "The whole truth." I almost deleted it without reading. But I didn't. In the email, Lisa admitted she and Tyler had in fact slept together during the reunion, not once, but twice. Lisa finally admitted the full truth in an email just 2 days before the divorce was set to be finalized. She revealed that her initial resistance to the divorce had been because she couldn't bring herself to face the reality of her actions. Tyler had contacted her a month before the reunion, and they'd been in regular communication ever since. When she learned he would be attending, she concocted the story about spouses being unwelcome. She provided me with details I hadn't known. Their first meeting had been planned well in advance, not some spontaneous choice fueled by alcohol as she had claimed earlier. She had arranged to meet him at his cabin after the welcome dinner, telling everyone else she had to take a work call. Their second meeting occurred after the farewell dinner, when the rest of the group was distracted by other activities. In her email, Lisa expressed deep regret, not only for what happened with Tyler but also for the way she had tried to manipulate the narrative to make me look unreasonable to our friends. She admitted that she had only come clean when cornered, gradually revealing bits of truth when faced with undeniable evidence. She finished by saying she wasn't seeking forgiveness but just wanted to stop living under a cloud of lies. I passed the email along to my sister without saying a word. She called me right away to check if I was okay. I assured her that I was fine, having suspected as much all along. When she asked if I wanted to use this confession in the divorce proceedings, I declined. The terms were fair, and I simply wanted it over with. I didn't see any point in dragging it out any further. I never responded to Lisa's email. At that point, there was nothing left to say. The day after the divorce was finalized, Lisa's sister called me. We had always gotten along well during family events, and she had found out about Lisa's confession. She called to apologize for the way her family had treated me during the process. She explained that Lisa had finally come clean to their parents, and they were ashamed of how they had pressured me to reconcile. Her sister also mentioned that their father regretted his words during the intervention attempt. I assured her that I didn't hold it against her family. They were just doing what any parents would, trying to support their daughter, no matter what. She emphasized that they didn't blame me for how things turned out, and she wanted me to know they were sorry for the way everything had unfolded. 2 days later, Lisa sent me another email asking to meet one last time to return some of my personal items she had found while packing up the house for the sale. I agreed to meet her. Lisa was late by 10 minutes, but eventually she showed up, holding a small box. Inside was an old watch that had belonged to my grandfather, along with photographs from my childhood that had gotten mixed in with hers. The watch had been missing for months, and I thought she'd misplaced it while cleaning. She admitted that she had found it a while ago, but had hidden it during an argument, and then forgotten about it while packing up the house. There was a long, awkward silence before she finally spoke up, thanking me for not using her confession against her in the legal proceedings. I just nodded, saying that wouldn't have helped either of us. When I saw her again, I noticed she had changed. Her hair was cut short, and she appeared thinner than when I had last seen her. She mentioned that she was continuing therapy to try to understand why she had acted the way she did. We sat in silence as we finished our coffee, both of us unsure of what to say. As we were getting ready to leave, she asked if I would consider staying in touch, perhaps as friends. I politely declined, explaining that a clean break would be better for both of us. She nodded and didn't press the issue. Thank you, Reddit, for being there through this entire journey. When I first shared my story here about a year ago, I was completely lost. Your advice, support, and the stories you shared helped me navigate through the darkest time of my life.